All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to ComixKings, or welcome if this is your first time. This is Brandon. We are live. Christ on Infinite Rants. Basically, what this show does is very informal. I just talk about whatever is on my mind. I got ADHD and a lot of impulsivity, so we're just gonna go with it today. I want to thank everybody who made Tag Team Thursday happen. If you guys did not check out, we started off with Just a Rican, and then we went over to not No Good Comics, to John's Comics with Kids. And then went over to Tony, and now it was Dan, and now it's me. All right, let me just address the chat real quick. What is up, Todd Christian? How are you doing? And then we got Jen saying howdy. Hi, Jen. We got Justin, new guy. Let's see what you got. Oh, man. John, welcome, welcome, welcome. And then Dan just had a great show. Check that out. And we got John. How are you doing? Dan sent you here. Thank you so much. All right, and today I just want to talk about everything that's been going on in DC Comics between their fans, the Snyder Cut, and what they're doing in their comics, because nothing in DC has really been exciting me, except for one book. If you would have told me that at the start of Future State or in February, January, that I would be picking up Wonder Woman as the only book in my DC pull, I would have looked at you like you had three heads, okay? Because I'm not a big Wonder Woman fan. I've never been a big Wonder Woman fan. But Joelle Jones has been doing amazing work with Yara Flores, so I'm excited to see it. I'm not as excited that she already has plans for the CW. I think that's a little bit rushed. And then the Snyder Cut, not exact. Ever since the Snyder Cut was like in works, ever since it was like rumored, I was like, guys, it's never gonna happen. This is never, ever, ever, ever gonna happen. But DC fans were relentless. They stayed with it, and it's not like the DC fans that are like Marvel, like indie stuff. It's ones that are like Batman, yeah, let's go, only Batman. That's my biggest issue, is because they ruin Batman for me. They really do. They ruin Batman for me. And Zack Snyder, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of. I feel like he's just like an edgy teen that just doesn't want girls to know that he's low-key into comics. That's just the feeling I get from him. We'll see what this movie does. It's just like a one-shot, 4 hours long, more than that. So we'll see what it does. The trailer was pretty cool. The cast is pretty cool, but I'm not exactly excited for it. And then we got Connecticut Comics. How are you doing? Just a Rican. How are you doing, man? And we got Zen Multiverse in here. What is up with you? But I'm just not excited with anything going on in DC right now. Batman has 2 books going on. Well, 2 solo titles going on in Future State. And one is Bruce Wayne, but he's living in like a basement apartment, kind of run down. I'm not exactly turned on. It's by Dan Morris doing the art. So I took a look at it when Future State started, but Tamaki did not really keep me into it. And then in the 3rd issue, they actually met. So I was looking at that, and I wasn't exactly impressed. I read it online. I bought it digitally. But this was the meeting. They looked at, I don't know if you guys can see it, but they looked at each other, and they're like, who are you? No, who are you? And it's like they were wearing the same costume. I was not into it. It's like, that's the meeting that you wanted me to pay $8 for. Now, keep in mind, these Future State books with like Batman, Superman, solo titles are $8 each. And it's like, it's not for me. With death metal going on, leading into this, with a timeline being messed up. You're getting a thumbs up based off the quality of your name. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I'm just not impressed. That's what you wanted people to pay $8 for. That was your big premiere. I'm not into it. And just the whole DC timeline, I know John mentioned something about it, but it's been messed up since New 52. And now they're kind of like already moving on from Future State, even before it got released with everything New Frontier. We have a Joker series that nobody asked for. I was very turned off by Joker being in 3 different Black Label books, and then everything in the DC continuity between him, the Batman Who Laughs, which is essentially Joker, I was not a big fan of to begin with. So now we have another Joker ongoing series, which is by Tinian, is doing the writing, which I don't have a problem. But like Dan said in his video, Tinian has much better image stuff with Department of Truth, Something's Killing the Children, and Wind. Much better stories, in my opinion. And then, yes, Joker Overkill continues. And then there's a backup story. I think Andolfo is doing some of the writing. I don't know if she's like the mainstream artist or anything, but it has a Punchline backup story. Again, nothing we asked for. So it's like DC is reverting to their continuity, but they're also moving forward. That's like my biggest issue is how they're going to fix their continuity. And that issue comes out next week. I will be reading it online. I'm not paying $10 for it. And then, yeah, like PJ said, not paying $8 for a monthly comic and like a 4-part series you can pick up and trade. It's going to be less. The backup stories aren't that interesting. To me, they're not doing. And Dan says, "Don't let Marika and Dolfo write." So actually, this. I picked up Mercy as soon when it came out in trade because I was looking at some of the covers of it and it looked gorgeous. I heard very mixed things. Some people are like, "This is great, this is great," and then some people are like, "Yeah, no, it's not good." I picked it up. I read it at work. It was a frustrating day, and that book just made me even more frustrated. So I don't know. And I gave up. And then I read Deep Beyond #1, same writer, not into it. So I'm just going to move on. My polls these past few weeks have been entirely Marvel. Mercy broke Jen and I. If you guys did a video about that, send me the link. But I have been picking up mostly Marvel stuff, simply just because DC has not been it. Everything feels very, very, very forced. Everything feels very rushed, and it's like there's not any creativity going on into the shows, or not into the comics, even into their TV industry. They're trying to be so much like the MCU. It's tearing them apart. Recasting some of our favorite CW characters like the Flash. I'm not a fan of Ezra Miller being the Flash. I don't know. I just felt like he didn't have any personality. Maybe my interest with the Snyder Cut will renew that or kind of help that out, but I'm not very interested in it. I don't really care for the Snyder Cut. I want to enjoy it, but I'm not overhyping it like some of these fans, some of these DC people who are very culty. Batman. Everybody, I'm just like not about DC right now. It's been all Marvel for me. King and Black, X-Men have really been piquing my interest. Daredevil's my favorite character, so that has been really good. Oh, what is up, Chet? Welcome. Same on Ezra. I'm so glad you didn't see me touch my books earlier, so don't watch that replay. Justin is Mariano Rivera, and yes, I am the setup man. I'm like that reliever that comes in, in like the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th and last half inning. That's me today. But real quick, you guys can check out everyone in the description below. I'm sure you're already subbing because I'm new to YouTube. I usually did everything through IGTV, but now I'm moving on to YouTube because ever since like the election, everything politics, the Instagram algorithm has been so messed up that I'm moving on to YouTube, to moving some of my creator interviews. Coming on, I have some announcements that I'm going to be making about that soon. And this is just a fun little informal show about me talking about whatever. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for subbing. Hit that thumbs up, turn on the bell, and subscribe. I said that in the wrong order, but I've been a diehard MCU fan my whole life. 2021 walked away to straight DC and IDW. I think I've done the opposite because I think so when Scott Snyder's Justice League was being written, I was completely for it. That was like really what I read. I was reading a lot of Nightwing, Dan Jurgens, and Batman. I was a huge fan of the Tom King run. And then once Metal started, I entirely just pulled out. Like I gave Death Metal a chance, but then their events kind of got a little dragged and they started oversizing their issues. When you put a price tag, when you like make a comic $8 and the page count is going from what like 25 pages taking out the ads to now like a basic 32, 35. Not even like some of them were 64, but they would charge 10. It's like, that's not for me. And if you're doing an event, right, and you have different crossovers, different tie-ins, it should be like in War of the Realms. You want to see what Spider-Man and Cap are doing or Spider-Man and Thor are doing, go read their tie-in. Not, okay, you have to read their tie-in to push the story forward. It's like if you're missing the tie-in, you're missing the whole story. I don't appreciate that about Metal, especially because the trade does not include all that. So I am not I'm not doing DC. Their Infinite Frontier, which is going to be kicking off in March. I'm excited for Tom Taylor's Nightwing. Nightwing is my favorite DC character. I got the fig up there. So I'm excited for his fresh take on Nightwing. I don't think we've ever had a substantial Nightwing story since Chuck Dixon. Mostly because when Dan DiDio was the publisher, he really just hated everything Nightwing. He hated everything Wally West. So that's why you still see them being tortured. Because again, Future State was kind of about Danny Dio. It was a little bit about Danny Dio and 5G. This is like with Future State is like, okay, we have to put in some of our ideas with 5G. So we're just going to put them in this, hope for the best. Made the call to the bullpen. The closer is ready. We got T-minus 5 minutes until it is going to be Justin's turn. So make sure you guys hop over to that in 5 minutes. But that's really much about me. I read all my pools today. It was a snow day. So I read all my pools, and I have to say that King in Black was probably my favorite. Well, I loved Guardians. If you guys are not reading the Guardians of the Galaxy story by Al Ewing, that was up there. I'm trying to think of what else stuck in my head. Any of the X-Men titles. Cable number 8 was something that I was very anticipated for because issue number 7, it left off with him and Domino teaming up. So we got that, and that was just a cool dynamic because they were together on X-Force. Now they're together here. And then Savage Avengers was also high on my pull list, minus the Kev Walker art. He's not my favorite artist out there, but Jerry Dugan writes really well. And then the Marauders came out that I read that I really enjoyed. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. No, so funny story about that. When I was a kid, like when I was first getting into like Star Wars was the first thing I got introduced to. As a kid, I grew up, and obviously I grew up, but I was always like, okay, I just want to watch Star Wars as all. And I felt like if I did anything else, I would have been cheating on Star Wars. That's the way my mind worked as a kid. I don't understand it, but that's just the way it was. So I was never a Turtles guy. I never got into Turtles. I don't even think I know all their names. But I heard The Last Ronin is really good. I've seen some of the interiors. They're great. It's just not for me because I don't know. But I grew up as a kid. You know what? I think I'm still growing up. I don't know. I'm going to be 20 in a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. So there we go. Birthday coming up, big 20. What else am I reading? I've just finished Ultimate Spider-Man, which was very sad. I started it last week, and I probably finished all 130 issues in a week and a half, maybe. So now I'm probably just going to finish up Invincible, keep reading my X-Men. Cheating on Star Wars. You know, that's just the way my mind worked. Whenever, like, in my elementary school, teachers like, Brandon, what do you want to be when you grow up? They asked everyone in class. I would always raise my hand and say a Jedi because my backup option was going to be a football player, and the way that I was undersized just was not going to work. I wanted to be a running back for the Steelers, but that was a death wish, so I guess I just went with a Jedi because that was the next best thing. Good book, Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah, it was a great read. I have one trade and a few floppies of it that I found in a dollar bin. So I've always been meaning to dive into it, and it was fun. It was fun. I think the plot got a little bit destroyed once Kitty Pryde came in. I thought that it got a little bit rushed, but it was like issues 100 through 117 were no good. But everyone wants to be a stormtrooper. 100% correct. All right. Other than that, a couple other announcements. I'm going to be doing a House of M review with another community member soon. We're planning that. I think we're going to do it Saturday. Then another video is coming out this weekend, breaking down the DC and Marvel solicitations, seeing what I'm going to be picking up for March. Because there's a lot of good things coming in March for Marvel. Some things in DC, talking about Bendis taking over Justice League. That's something I'm excited for just because I like Brian Michael Bendis. So that's about it. And then Creators Corner, I have a huge announcement coming soon. I should continue. I actually read the Miles Morales when I first started getting into comics. Okay, so that was like what I was first introduced to in in the Ultimate Universe. But I liked it. Anyway, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the thumbs up, and then let's hop over to Justin at No Good Comics. I put everyone's YouTube links in the description, so make sure you guys go follow them or sub them. Follow everyone on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for having me today on Tag Team Thursday. Much love to you guys. Now let's give it over to Mariano Rivera.